everybody. So I was just going through editing the video that I'm putting up and realised that I've made a bit of a mistake. Whilst I was videoing doing my non-dominant hand, I forgot to press the record button. So in this video you've got partial of me doing my non-dominant hand, and also you're going to get to meet Veronica. This is Veronica, my lovely little assistant. So I'm going to get her all prepped and everything, and she will be making an appearance partway through the video. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!
Right then guys, so we're starting off the same as last time, so we're pushing back any of the cuticle. There's not really much for me to take off this time, as I only did my non-dominant hand about 2 weeks ago. So just pushing everything back, gonna go through and clean it all. The usual sort of prep routine. I'm going to dust everything off, and now we're going to go in and file down all of the free edge and also lightly buff the surface of the nail. Now we're just dusting off, and as usual I spray a bit of sanitizer on the nails. We let that dry for a minute. I'm going to go in with our base glue by Glitterbels. I'm using the Glitterbels almond shaped tips. Love these are my favourites at the moment. So as in with the last video, you get a tip, size it up to your finger and make sure the sides are side wall to side wall. If you need to make it a little bit smaller because you've had to go a size up, then just file down the sides a little bit. And this one I was quite lucky, it fits perfectly. So I'm just pop a bit of glue on. And then hold it in place until the glue is set. And then we just do this for every single nail. So I'll leave you to watch this bit, which I sped up a little bit for you. Okay, now we're going to cut these down. I don't want them too long, as obviously I am right-handed, so I still need to be able to do everyday stuff. I'm not the best when they're super long on my right hand. So taking these down to size. And then we go through, and first of all I always file in my shape. My favourite shape at the moment is sort of a ballerina. I'm going to go through and do this on all of these nails. So once I'm happy with the shape that I've done, I then start to blend the nail tip into the natural nail. I tend to stick to a 180 grit to do this, just so that if the file does go onto the natural nail, it's not too coarse for it. You want to try and blend this in as much as possible, but obviously try not to overfile the nail at the same time, just so that we can get a bit of more of a smooth transition between the nail and the tip for when we come to apply the acrylic. Right, once you're happy, dust everything off. I like to go in with another spray of sanitizer. Once that's dry, we then put on 2 coats of our dehydrator on the natural nail. And then once we've done that and it's dried, we are then going to go in with our acid-free primer. And I think I knocked my nail at this point and thought I'd nearly pinged the tip off. Luckily I hadn't. I love how quickly this stuff dries. So then we're going in with glass slippers. And we're just going to put a thin coat of this on all of the nails. And this is just to give us a sort of a barrier on the natural nail against anything we're about to put on top of it. You don't need a lot of this, just keep it super thin. As you can probably see, it takes me a little bit longer when I'm using my non-dominant hand. I'm getting there and better. I always find it easier though to use my dominant hand to sort of burp out the brush and to wipe off the excess monomer and then pick up the bead of acrylic I'm going to use. You'll also see that I do tend to move my right hand a lot more just to help. It's almost easier for me to move my right hand than it is for me to move the left hand where I need the acrylic to be. I'm not sure if that makes sense. But when you're doing your non-dominant hand, just find whatever way is easiest for you, and it is very much practice. Practice means you get quicker, and it also doesn't feel quite as awkward. Right, now I'm just cleaning my brush out, making sure I've got no acrylic in there, because I do sometimes find that I end up with a bit of build-up. Then we're going on to cashmere cover. I do love this cover colour, it's really, really pretty, and it works well with most skin tones. So again, using my right hand to get my bead, placing it down with my left, and I've done this away from the cuticle. I tend to do, when I'm doing my right hand, I tend to do it in a couple more beads than what I do with when I'm doing my left hand, just purely because it takes me a little bit longer, so I don't want the acrylic to set before I've actually got it where I need it to be. So just bringing it up the nail. I am trying out a new technique which we will see in a moment, which is why I'm only concentrating on making sure the acrylic is up to the end of the tip on the one side. Now I'm using a craft knife to try and cut a straight line. You'll probably see this a lot clearer in a minute. Unfortunately, I kind of popped out of frame a little bit on this bit, so I do apologise. Right, now we're going to go in and go up to the cuticle again. Try not to flood it. Take it as close as you can. And because this is a cover colour, we can use this with our apex. We don't need to clear cap it at all, so I'm just making sure I've got plenty of product so that when it comes to filing, we can get a good shape. Right then, now onto the next finger. Making sure that brush is nice and clean again. We don't want any acrylic clogging it up. Picking up our bead of acrylic and putting it part way up. And then we're just patting and pulling it further up the nail. Need a little bit more on the one side again. When I'm doing my non-dominant hand, I actually find it easier to use less acrylic and put it into more beads. Alright, then we're using our craft knife again. Get a nice straight line and take off the excess. And then we're going to go in and put acrylic onto the cuticle. Well, not onto the cuticle, sorry. We're going to put the acrylic just above the cuticle and push it down as close as we can get. And here's Veronica. So I can actually show you the rest of how I did this nail. I thought I'd give you a better view of putting the cashmere cover on, and also using the craft blade to cut out part of the acrylic. So doing exactly the same thing, part way up, pulling the acrylic around where we want it to be. And then getting our craft blade, just doing a straight line across the nail and then scraping off the excess that we don't want. And then we're going to go in and push it up towards the cuticle and then pull it down over the acrylic we've already applied. Right, now we're going to go in with Glitterama's coloured acrylic mystery. Lovely sort of dark blue. We're going to go in with quite a wet bead on this one. And then we're just going to sort of push it up to the line of the cashmere cover and fill in where we've got the gap that we created. You don't want to do this too thick because obviously we will need to go over it with a clear cover. So just make sure it's on all the sides and the end and smooth it down a bit. Do find with this cover you've got to be really careful as well that you don't end up with sort of slightly see-through areas. So I had to keep reapplying small amounts. Right, so now I'm getting glass slippers, which is clear acrylic. And a lovely little pot of glitter that I sort of made up with some I have at home. So I'm now picking up a small, slightly wet bead of clear acrylic and then popping it into the glitter and then putting this onto the side of the nail like we did with the blue, pushing it up to the cashmere cover and getting right to the corners as well to make sure it's all fully filled in. Here I just picked up a little bit more clear and a little bit more glitter because I just needed to fill that gap in. And then patting it all into place and making sure it's all nice and snug up against each other. And now we're going in with a clear. I'm just going to cap it. And this is obviously just to sort of protect the glitter from when we file, and we're going to do exactly the same thing with the blue now. And like I've said before, because the other colour we have on the nail is a cover colour, we don't need to put a clear cap on that. because it's a core powder, so it's got the strength there. We only need to put it on our glitter and on our coloured acrylic. And there we go. And then we are going to now go back over to my hand. Just going to start my filing routine, and for this it's the same as last time. I always start with a 150 grit and I do sidewalls, and I also file underneath the nail to get rid of any extra acrylic or anything under there. And I'll go through and do this on every single nail. I'll also refine the shape if I need to. So I will leave you to watch this for a little while, and then I'll speak to you again in a minute. Okay, once I've done all the filing on the sides, I then go into filing up by the cuticle, trying to be very careful not to file my cuticles, as I have done this in the past and it does hurt a little bit. We're just trying to perfect the shape we've got around the cuticle and coming up the side. I nicked myself a little bit on this one. And then we are just rubbing our finger up and down the file to get rid of some of the bulk, especially near the tip of the nail. Again, because I'm using my non-dominant hand for this, you'll notice that when I'm filing, I tend to move my right hand more than I do the actual file, just because I find it easier to control how I'm filing by doing it that way. And then just also, if we're still a little bit off on the shape, we can sort that out as well. Once you're happy with the shape you've got with your file, then we go in with our sanding block just to smooth everything out. Make sure there's no little notches or anything. Then I always like to go over it with a little bit of acetone. Just helps smooth it out a little bit further and also gets rid of all the dust and everything at the same time. Now for this set I decided to do some little water decals. So here I'm trying to find the right sizes for the nails I'm going to use them on. And then we're peeling off the plastic cover and placing it in a cup of water. I left it in there for roughly about a minute. And then take it out and it should gently just slide off the paper. And then using my dominant hand, putting it in the tweezers and then swapping over, because I think if I tried to do this with my left hand it would be a nightmare. Then you just place it down where you want it and tap it down into place. Pretty. Then we're just going to go through with our no wipe top coat, cover all of our nails, and we're going to cure that for 30 seconds in our lamp. I always like this bit. This is when you get to see the glitter at its best, because as soon as you put that top coat on, it's lovely and sparkly. And then with the fingers I've got the glitter on, I just put a little bit of the top coat underneath. It just helps make it shine. Now we're going in with our cuticle oil, giving that a good sort of massage in. And then we are all done and we have a lovely set of nails. Hope you enjoyed this video. Speak to you soon. Bye.